best company out there that's in the space, that's doing it right, that isn't making claims, but is in fact actually putting their money where their mouth is as far as research and supporting the industry. That's eventually what led me to the Stanley Brothers and Charlotte's Web.
Welcome to Barbell Shrugged. My name is Anders Varner. We're hanging out with Doug Larson, Mike Bledsoe. We are at the hippie hostel for successful people #1, hanging out with Jason Rule. Has the hippie hostel for successful people caught on yet? Every time I say it around people, they're like, "Oh, that's what it is." This is where all the hippies come and stay for a little while, and they're all really successful people. Right. There's like a caliber of human that's allowed to room here for a little while. That's why it's such a beautiful place to be and film a podcast.
That's why Hunter lives here.
I'll tell you about the
Hunter's
test.
A gangster.
There's a test that you have to take.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it later.
How conscious are you?
It's not written.
Yeah.
It's demonstrated.
Is it in Hunter's room with all that stuff hanging from the ceiling?
When you walk in, there's a vibration meter. And if it comes back at a 7 or above, you're invited.
It's true. It's not a 7. It's a 450 or above. It's a scale of 1 to 1,000. Don't be silly.
Well, then I want at least a 700. Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You came all the way out to Southern California to hang in this beautiful place. We just got a sweet workout on the beach. Did a whole bunch of kettlebells. Brianna Fit was hanging out. Unbelievable. We don't even know her real name. She just hangs out on the Instagrams, and we got her out here doing some kettlebells. I am hanging out with this beautiful Charlotte's Web hemp extract oil. We're going to talk about some of this today. What is Charlotte's Web, and more or less, who are the Stanley Brothers? How come they get their fun name on this beautiful product here?
Well, they started the first actual dispensary in Denver, Colorado, 2008.
Pioneers.
They were, actually. And they progressed through that to where they ended up working with a lot of cancer patients. And then they started developing out the actual genetics of the plant to where they were growing it. And just through serendipity, they started focusing on where a lot of the dispensaries and a lot of the grows were focusing on raising the THC levels. These guys saw a lot of potential in CBD. So they started breeding for plants to raise up that natural level of CBD. So that's why they have that on there, and it was through a series of coincidences that we love so much, right? Mm-hmm. So in 2012, a little girl named Charlotte Figge had Dravet syndrome. She was 5 years old when basically she was at end of life. The doctor told the parents there's nothing else we can do. There's one last experimental epilepsy drug that we can test out, but it's a veterinarian medication. So the mom had been reading about different studies on CBD and the benefits that it can have. So since the daughter was so ill, she was having, I believe, 300 to 400 grand mal seizures in a week.
Whoa.
Yo.
Oh, I feel like I've heard this before.
Right.
This was a big story on CNN, 60 Minutes, something.
You have.
It was terrifying.
It was, and it absolutely breaks your heart until you get to the end of it. So this little girl was having these grand mal seizures basically every 15 to 20 minutes, just debilitating. So she was in a constant state of either seizing or recovering from a seizure.
They had videos of them, and it was not small. Like it was the entire body. Oh man, I remember watching it. Like it was. A full grand mal seizure is an absolutely terrifying thing to witness.
Right.
I've never seen one in real life, but I remember watching that video and just being terrified that if your daughter or son or somebody would have one of these, what do you do?
Right, right. And so her parents, her dad was in the military. Mom was back taking care of Charlotte and her twin sister. And the mom went and did some research, and since all other avenues had been pursued, she had read about how there could be some benefit from taking CBD. So she went to from dispensary to dispensary out in Colorado, and most of them had never heard of CBD. She found one strain that was available. I believe she paid like $800. She took it to a friend, had it, and asked her, hey, can you extract this for us? And the first time Charlotte took it, she became seizure-free for 7 days.
Whoa.
She had one seizure. Well, I take it back. She had one seizure in that 7-day period. So a 99% reduction. The problem is there weren't any other dispensaries. There weren't any grows around that the mom could find. So just through asking, eventually she found the Stanley brothers, and they had been breeding this strain that the brothers, while they were excited about the prospects of CBD, that wasn't selling. Like, nobody was buying it because the science wasn't there. Everybody was going for the higher THC stuff. So she found the brothers, and she called it the Garden of Eden, because when pulled the greenhouse back, and she's like, this is for my daughter. Like, we have to have this. So the brothers ended up very, very reluctantly, because nobody had ever given cannabis product that they knew of to a 5-year-old little girl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine the stones that it took to step up and be like, okay, we believe in this. The mom had to go and get 2 different prescriptions from her neurologist as well as her doctor to be able to allow that to happen. So she did, and since then, so that was in early 2012. Word spread quickly because parents of sick kids talk. And they have these groups, they have forums and stuff where they hang out and they visit and they share stories. So that story ripped through those forums and those Facebook groups. And before long, Paige Fig is Charlotte's mom. So patient number 2 was Zakai Jackson. Okay, Heather Jackson is Zakai's mom. And same type of situation, only he was dealing with smaller seizures, but hundreds of them in a day's time. So experienced similar results from taking the Charlotte's Web product. And at the time, it was called Hippie's Disappointment, right? Because you could smoke a field of this stuff and it wouldn't get you high. It was incredibly low in THC, and but very high in CBD content. So that's where the Stanley brothers got the name. They fell in love with a little girl. They've built their company kind of around the goodwill, and they've been called the Robin Hoods of the hemp industry because they give so much back. They ended up developing what's called the Realm of Caring, which is a nonprofit organization in Colorado Springs. I told Mike about Manitou Incline. If you ever go do that, go take a tour through the Realm of Caring. It's staffed by volunteers, and the volunteers, I got the opportunity to spend a day there. The volunteers are parents of either parents or patients that took this product, and at the time in 2012 it was illegal to take the product out of state. So I met some of these parents that started hearing these stories about Charlotte and about Zakai, and as you can imagine, as a parent, you too, like you'd do anything for your kid. So they started hearing these stories about these amazing results. So these parents started moving. So you hear about medical refugees moving to Colorado. This was one of the primary catalysts for that, was parents finding out or hearing this may be potential for my kid. So they would pack up and move. I got the pleasure to meet a lot of those parents that volunteer at the Realm of Caring, and the Realm of Caring is an unbelievable resource because since it's a nonprofit organization, they can say what they've heard. You know, they take that observational data, they compound it, and they've been able to create this enormous resource of what CBD has been shown to do.
Yeah. Is there a website where you can go look that up?
There is. It's called therock.us, the ROC.us, so no K.
Awesome.
Yeah.
At the highest level of this thing, we talk about the endocannabinoid system, and what is going on in that system. We all have it inside our bodies, and then how do we kind of start to draw or connect the dots between that and man, grand mal seizures, you would never think that those, I mean, just the layman thinking I'm just stuck with having seizures for the rest of my life. It's just who I am now.
Right.
And now we're able to connect this endocannabinoid system with, hey, maybe these two things are related somehow.
Right. You know, the truth is that they don't know. If you, what's fascinating is if you take a look at any, of the approved epilepsy drugs out there, under the section where it says mechanism, it'll say unknown. So now you take into the fact that we've dealt with prohibition for ever, since 37, 39.
Something like that.
Yeah. So not only were people able to take the plant, but no doctors were able to study it. They weren't able to, come up with those questions. So we're working in an industry that's 15 years old. I think it was in 2004 when they discovered the endocannabinoid system, the ECS. So that information is still rolling out.
It's interesting. You have the endocannabinoid system.
Uh-oh.
I didn't drink enough.
Too early.
It's a hard word. 5 years ago, nobody ever heard of it.
Yeah, endocannabinoid system. Yeah, it's interesting. You have this whole system that is basically facilitating all sorts of things in the body, hundreds of things, and then we find out that this plant has an enormous amount of it in it,
right.
And it happens to be the plant that got banned and burned.
Right.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It makes you wonder a little bit. In fact, there's 2 species on planet Earth that develop or produce Geez, you got me doing it.
There it is.
Cannabinoids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, it's hemp and vertebrates.
Wait, what was the second one?
It's hemp and vertebrates.
Hemp and vertebrates. That's it.
That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. So, whether or not you believe that we evolved next to the plant evolved next to us, or God gave us this plant, it doesn't matter. The fact is we have this system. Right. We have this system that recognizes these molecules, and these molecules are in this plant.
Well, there's some ancient traditions that use cannabis regularly, like as part of their medicine.
Right.
That's like it's part of, you go to some tribes and that's what they use.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's still done down in Mexico. Like a lot of it's considered like grandma's medicine. So dealing with aches, pain, stuff like that. So they'll just go and smoke a joint. But what they're doing is they're actually introducing cannabinoids into their body.
Well, Jamaica, this happens. It's very common. They'll cook it. They'll make all sorts of medicine with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very common.
Right.
Yeah, and give it to kids, and they actually. Well, I won't go into that.
You mentioned how effective it was for seizures, but you also briefly touched on cancer at the very beginning. You mentioned cancer, but has there been much research into how it can affect people that have cancer or prevent cancer from developing in the future? Well,
the studies are still coming out, but that's actually what got me initially looking into it in 2013. So this is a story that pretty much nobody knows, but I started looking into it personally. And in April of 2013, I was dealing with a little bit of numbness along my hip, and I went in and got a scan done, and they found what's called, the doctor said it so eloquently. She said it's about the size of a raisin. So they found this mass inside the sheath of my spine that was between L2 and L3.
That's not terrifying at all.
No.
It makes it sound like it's not a big deal. It's like, it's just the size of a raisin. You're like,
yeah.
In your
big,
spine.
actually.
In your
Yeah,
spine.
sounds big.
In your spine.
In your spine. Yeah. So
It's supposed to be there.
In my toe? Okay.
So the
So you're talking about the whole lower half of my body.
yeah,
then.
yeah. From everything here, there's nothing important down, right? nothing that I use to
I think that's a different
identify with.
system
No?
as well.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Some of my favorite parts are very close to there.
Yeah. So you add into that we had 3 kids. Val was pregnant with Lakin. Okay, and the way that the spine is it's called the horsetail. So it comes down around L2, L3. It starts to fan out to the lower extremities, the legs, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking into hemp, marijuana, just for me personally. But my background is my dad's a retired highway patrolman. My brother's highway patrolman. That was just something we never did. So while from what I read, I could see potential for it, I just couldn't see piling up my family and moving. That was a little bit of reactionary because we didn't know what was going on. We just knew that there was this mass there. So I started reading up on it. 3 months later, our son was born, Lakin, and then life just completely got derailed. Lakin, at 9 days old, he had to get life flighted out. He had to have emergency heart surgery.
Wow.
So at 11 days, he had emergency heart surgery, and then he had the same surgery again 7 weeks later. And then before he turned 1, he had one more heart surgery up in Ann Arbor.
Wow.
So the little bit of research that I did myself got put on hold because for the next year, literally we were just spending our time in an emergency ICU.
Wow. You mentioned earlier the Stanley brothers went back. They found this CBD and started putting all their time, energy, and research into growing hemp and kind of focusing on the non-psychoactive side of the plant. What does that look like? And just a little bit of like the process of kind of cultivating CBD and making sure it's pure. And I'm sure there's a jillion white label CBDs out there that we just who knows what's going on.
Right. And that's the next part of the story. The little bit of information I was able to gather on hemp and marijuana as far as what related to me personally, I read a lot of studies that said there was potential for inflammation, especially with the central nervous system. So that got my my ears perked up a little bit, like, okay, I should pay attention to this. Fast forward a couple years, we've moved. My oldest son is between his sophomore and his junior year, and he's athletic, plays football, but he had always complained of back pain over his sophomore year. And so at the end of the year, after track was over, he's a pole vaulter, all that, we went in and had Elliot scanned, and what they think is in football, they believe he took a hit to his back that could have cracked one of his vertebrae. Okay, so it healed, but then there was a lot of inflammation around it.
Right.
So the first thing, now thankfully Mike had done some podcasts, and so my level of knowledge was incredibly low, but I could feel like there's something there. This is a product that has potential. So the first thing I did was went and got a whole bunch of turmeric, and I started reading up again on CBD. And there, being in the supplement industry, I can see through bullshit really fast, and it's usually the companies that are making the most claims, that or it looks like the product label is printed on their mom's HP, right? So, right, yeah. So I ended up getting a CBD hemp oil at a local health store there. Got Elliot started taking on it, and I dealt with a lot of the same concerns that anybody else does. Is he going to test positive for THC, that type of thing, which at the time I was just thinking he's going to test positive for pot. From what I read, I wasn't too concerned about it, so we moved forward. And so over that summer,
he's going to lose his job?
Right. No, Elliot, no.
That's going to be a news story. He got ejected from all of his football games.
Yeah.
He's high. He's hitting people harder now.
Can no longer mow the neighbor's lawn. Neighbors fired him.
Right. Right. So we spent the summer. He wasn't able to exercise.
Started putting all these creative shapes in their yard. What's wrong with him? Oh, he's just high out there cutting the grass.
Yeah. Elliot, if you're listening, don't take notes on
That
this.
explains the crop circles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Now he can't. Now you're not going to let him listen to the show.
Yeah.
No, he's going to love it. He's stoked for me to be on. He's a big fan of you guys.
How old is he right now?
He's 18.
18.
Just graduated. Shout out to
Just signed.
just signed.
Division 1?
No.
3?
No.
2?
2. Yeah.
Decathlete?
Yeah, decathlete.
Yeah, we were
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about it. He just
Dope.
committed to on Friday.
MSSU.
Thursday.
Yep. In Joplin, Missouri.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
dude.
Very cool.
That's
right.
rad. You're in
That's
the 1%. Badasses. Get after
Yeah,
it.
He's
geez.
excited. We're proud of him.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
cool.
that sport's ridiculous.
It is. Yeah.
When you're done with that, you can come play CrossFit.
Yep.
You'll be good at it right away.
Yeah, that's right. So fast forward through that summer, I got him taking CBD, also on turmeric, and took him in for a scan. They didn't think he was going to be able to play football, but the inflammation had gone down. he was able to play football his junior year and everything else is fine from this point forward. But it was through that navigating those waters that I started seeing a lot more science, a lot more articles, and just a lot more bullshit out there about CBD. So that got me thinking, because I went back to the central nervous system, the benefits from my personal reading for myself, and I thought, okay, so hey, CrossFitters, they do a lot with the CNS. They deal with a lot of inflammation. You have a lot of soft tissue injuries and everything else. So maybe this is a plant that could benefit them. And so then we transitioned from, okay, my son is taking it, to what is a product that we want to bring our CrossFit gyms. So Driven Nutrition is exclusive. We exclusively work with the CrossFit gyms. So we kind of teach them how to do retail, how to offer supplements, how to sell supplements, that type of thing. So how do we take what I know about CBD and introduce that into that space? And what I found was there's so much misinformation. I didn't want to just add to the noise, so I felt if I can find the best company out there that's in the space, that's doing it right, that isn't making claims, but is in fact actually putting their money where their mouth is as far as research and supporting the industry. That's eventually what led me to the Stanley Brothers and Charlotte's Web.
How long did it take to find them?
There's
a lot of noise out there right now.
There is. It was so. You've been looking from the middle of May to the beginning of August, when I eventually had vetted them enough that I felt comfortable reaching out.
What was the thing that kind of put it over the edge of these guys are legit? If it was a single thing, I assume it's like many things together.
The fact that they didn't put CBD on their product.
That's the one I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
What is that? Why don't you just tell the people what it is? But it's not. This hemp extract oil.
Right.
What does that mean?
So hemp extract. So what's a good way to explain this, Mike?
Well, I mean, you got cannabidiol, which is CBD is short for cannabidiol, and it is one single compound that you're going to find inside of a hemp extract. And so it's technically, well, here's the other thing, is if it's a hemp extract, then it's legal in all 50 states.
It's a supplement.
It's only considered a Schedule I drug if it's made from a cannabis plant.
Gotcha.
So CBD is legal as long as it's grown from a hemp plant and not a cannabis plant. Now, the only thing that separates a cannabis plant from a hemp plant is the amount of THC that it contains. It's how it's been genetically modified or not. And so what you end up with a hemp extract is more of a full spectrum. Now, CBD is just one of many compounds that are found in the cannabis plant. So there's a lot of really useful stuff like CBN, CBG, and there's likely they're really trying to grow as much CBD as possible, but what we'll see in the next decade is a lot more research, and they're starting to do some on things like the CBN, CBG, all these other different compounds in there. And so what we find is you end up with an entourage effect. So CBD by itself is not as helpful. It depends. So for very specific things, CBD can it's like you can go after one type of symptom or something like that. But for the average person, what you're looking for is you want the entourage effect, and that is the whole plant extract. So with a hemp oil is really, really nice because and you got to isolate right here too. We can talk about that. But with the hemp oil, you're getting all the other stuff in small amounts, but you end up with an entourage effect. So it actually allows the CBD to work even better because it's part of the whole plant. I don't know if that answered the question.
So is with the hemp extract oil, is there any THC in here, and if there is, it's so small that you can still sell this nationwide, every state? There's no legal problems with it.
Correct. So what Mike said is it's 0.3%.
Gotcha.
0.3%. So as long as the hemp is grown and it has below that level of THC, it's considered industrial hemp according to the 2014 Farm Bill.
And you will not fail a drug test with that small amount in there.
If you take enough, you will.
You'd have to take a lot.
That's a lot.
And this is where, like, so again, my background, I've got a nephew now that's a highway patrolman. He wanted to take this product. And so what I tell people is, like, look, if your livelihood depends on whether or not you're going to pass a drug test, do not take a full plant extract.
Well, the isolate, though.
That's so. I had heard rumors that CW was going to be coming out with that product, and I went out there and spent a couple days at the end of September of this year, and they were gracious enough to let us bring that to our pipeline, because a lot of the CrossFit gym owners, like you guys know, they're military. They can't have any trace of any THC at all in their system. A lot of them are firefighters, so they wanted to take these products, but and that's always my answer. If your livelihood depends on whether or not you pass a P test, don't take a full plant extract.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: the isolate's cool. I wouldn't recommend anyone take the isolate by itself, from what I understand about all this. But what you could do is take the isolate and then take it with the hemp oil.
A very little bit. Yep.
Yeah, and mix the two, and you can get a really nice effect that way. So you get like a super high dose CBD and you still have that entourage effect. And
what does the isolate mean? Like, if we're combining the two together, the effects of them.
This is actually CBD oil.
Gotcha.
And that's hemp oil that happens to have CBD in it.
Gotcha.
Right.
Beautiful. Each of these has coconut oil in them, and it needs that as a transportation device to be digestible by the body. Is that why that's combined there?
No, they do it just to make it palatable. Gotcha. They have an olive oil, an organic olive oil that they put it in.
Oh, I've put pure hemp oil in my mouth before.
And it tastes nasty.
That's rowdy.
Yeah, it tastes
rowdy.
Yeah.
I've been test subject for a few things.
Yeah, you've mentioned your son was very young in the first year of his life, and he's using this. Is there anything for maybe like nursing, breastfeeding that we should or should not be concerned about with this?
With something like that, I'd refer back to the realm of caring.
Yeah.
Again, go to therock.us, because anytime
there's some interesting research on that.
There really is, and in fact,
not from you, Bledsoe. We'll get into the weeds there.
Breast milk is high in endocannabinoids, naturally.
I can see that. Yeah.
So again, they're studying that. What we're trying to do as an industry is we're trying to push this as more of a maintenance type product as opposed to CBD. So your question about hemp oil versus CBD oil, this is a full plant extract. They take the entire plant, they process it, and all of the beautiful cannabinoids that are in it, they're able to extract that out and put it into a product.
Keep it out of the sun.
For athletes,
it's going to decarb.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned a lot of things where it can help in the medical world if you have certain problems, but for athletes that are relatively healthy, why do they choose to supplement?
That's an interesting question. So,
should we preface this with the disclaimer?
The disclaimer. Well,
we can't. Here's the deal. With any type of supplement, the FDA doesn't really allow certain claims to be made. A lot of people get away with a lot of that. The trouble with talking about that in regard to CBD or hemp oil is that it's under extra scrutiny due to the prohibition. So, we're going to be extra careful about how we approach certain questions.
Yeah, and it's a new industry, and so a lot of the research hasn't been done, so you can't make a specific claim because there's no science to back up some claims. There is research, but it's not a very mature part of the industry.
I feel like the groundswell follows the research, and there's a massive groundswell of really good research and a lot of good practical, but it's just not there yet.
Right.
Where we can just say this will happen. But there's a lot of research going into this stuff.
There is. You're dealing with a science that's 15 years old.
Yeah.
So having many answers at this point, other than the fact that it helps with a general sense of well-being, and that's one thing that they have been able to document time and time again is, so when you get the runner's high, everybody used to think it was endorphins. It's not. It's a cannabinoid in your system.
It's called an anandamide.
An anandamide, right. So taking a phytocannabinoid, any cannabinoid, in fact, is going to slow down the rate that your body breaks down anandamide. So it's the Sanskrit word for bliss. So it's the bliss molecule. So it's in dark chocolate and everything else. You just feel good, right?
Yeah.
So taking a phytocannabinoid is going to slow down the rate that anandamide is broken down.
That's why it's good to toke and then work out. You get a double dose.
Hit the flow state.
Just been waiting for science to back that one up.
Hit the flow state.
All the excuses.
I have a buddy. He works in the cannabis industry, and his wife, I forget exactly what she was experiencing. She was getting really sick and wasn't keeping an appetite, and she's pregnant. And they're going, well, what are we going to do? Well, we could give her all these pharmaceutical drugs. He's like, fuck, all these drugs have so many side effects that we don't like. And he works in the cannabis industry. He goes, he did all the research on pregnancy and how that impacts the kid and their development and all that stuff. And yeah, they put her on cannabis for that. And what he found was there is some, they're not giving pregnant women cannabis, but they are documenting women who use it. And they've actually shown some studies. Well, I won't make too many claims here, but like there's some evidence to show that some kids are coming out with pretty high IQs.
Fascinating.
There's an intellectual benefit to it. So worth Googling.
The kid's in there objectively like, dude, what is going on in here? What in the world am I living in? There's all this blood flow going around.
Probably less trauma during birth.
Why is this tube attached to me? So weird.
A lot more chill during the birthing period. You got to think about it. Like,
it's also funny though.
Being born is the most
traumatic.
Wait a second. I'm gonna come out.
I'm so hungry. Will you please eat soon?
Super traumatic, right? It's a super traumatic experience to be born.
Yeah,
You're in
totally.
a safe spot. You're like, oh, life is so good. Babies think they're dying when they come out. You know? Like,
no, this new shit sucks. It was so warm.
Put me back in.
We've interviewed the babies. That's what they think.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back in a second.
Yeah, man. 37 years. It's been nice. Feel good.
I do too.
All my joints feel good. I wake up, I have energy all day, and I have boners every morning.
That's a big one, right?
That's the key. That's
How
the
much
one.
are you using CBD in your daily, not in your daily, but just as in your normal life?
I use CBD 3-4 nights a week before bed. I definitely use it before I get in a float tank once a week. So I actually played around with the Charlotte's Web Maximum Strength. I got that a couple weeks ago. I did one dropper full, and I definitely felt myself down regulate. The first day I got it, I go, okay, I'm gonna hop in a float tank tomorrow night. I normally do like a 5 milligrams of CBD, 5 milligrams of THC, and then hop in the tank. But I want to do an experiment, so I double dosed just the CBD.
Oh wow!
I did 2 doses of this maximum strength stuff, and then I hopped in the tank. Before I was driving to the place to hop in the tank, and halfway there, this calm washed over me. It's a 15-minute drive, and I go, oh man, I feel good. And then I got in the tank, and it was the most relaxed I'd ever been in the tank. It was really, really nice.
Since you shipped this stuff to us, I've taken it once or twice, and it's about an hour after I take it, and I do notice I just had 18 weeks ago now my first child. So sleep, stress, work, all those things are just, if they're normally at stress level 7, you could call it like a 8, a 9, just on a daily basis now. And I definitely recognize when I do take it, just like it's like a little,
yeah,
we can just kind of dip into a little bit more relaxed state pretty quickly.
Right.
By the way, if you consume THC products at all, so if you smoke the devil's lettuce, or you Or
I had no idea where that metaphor was going. That one wasn't the one I was thinking. The devil's lettuce. That damn lettuce.
or if you
Spinach.
there's so many everyone who's consumed cannabis has got this story about they ate way too much of an edible. Like, I ate a cookie and then I had the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
And so what I recommend is to have a really high dose CBD like this on hand. If you have an experience you're not enjoying on it, you can pop this in your mouth, keep it on your tongue, let it absorb, and 20, 30 minutes later, you will chill the fuck out and you will feel really, really good. It'll make you less high.
Yeah.
So it's a really good thing to keep on hand if you consume regular cannabis
Is that because
products.
it balances the two out? If you go too high on the THC, then you can kind of raise the CBD to match it a little bit?
So CBD binds to the same receptor site as THC, CBD2 I think it is. And what ends up happening is it'll compete for those receptor sites. And so less THC will bind.
Yeah.
You gotta just hope your brain's working enough to actually go figure it out in that moment.
Yeah, I think one of the things
It's
that's
good.
so interesting about CBD and why that big push is coming is you talk about the downregulation, and stress is just such like a rampant term that is just thrown out there for like everything, whether it's physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, we're just stress. And this seems to have a really good way in its down regulatory properties to kind of get into the brain and just like, hey, we don't have to worry about so many things. So you get out of that loop a little bit easier. And I think people are finding CBD to be a big piece of that. I don't know if you're able to go into that, but if you've had any personal experiences.
Well, what it's doing is it helps regulate homeostasis, and that's basically what they found. That's what they believe. So we have CB1. Mike alluded to it. We have CB1, CB2 receptors in our endocannabinoid system. So those receptor sites accept these type of molecules, and they're prevalent through the nervous system as well as through the gut. So what they've found, what they believe, is that the entire endocannabinoid system, its job is to help regulate homeostasis, to help. So CBD is the ultimate adaptogen, right? So like what's too high, it helps bring up or bring down. What's too low, it helps bring up. So it helps your body work within its regular boundaries of what is right for your body.
Yeah, I think
where should you fall?
A lot of people aren't as in touch with their body. You put something like this in here, they're constantly overriding it, always drinking coffee. They're using things to upregulate, to meet the demands of whatever it is they volunteered to do in their life. And then you take in something like CBD, you drop that into the system, and it wants to bring you back to homeostasis. And a lot of times the message of what you get in order to help you get to homeostasis is rest and eat, rest and digest.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been in an upregulated state so much, you need to balance out with rest and digest. So you take something like this, boom. But if you're somebody who's super well rested and maybe you need a little bit of a bump, that's what it'll do too. So to me, this thing is somewhat of a messenger. I take this, it's like, oh, I need to rest. It's really pushing my body in that direction because it wants to pull me towards homeostasis.
Nice.
I assume with the Stanley Brothers and Charlotte's Web, they're putting hemp extract oil on here was a massive part of the message that they're trying to get out, and maybe steering clear of CBD specific. Can you talk a little bit why they wouldn't want the CBD on there, and maybe just really dig into the differences of why hemp extract oil is a better way to talk about this?
And that's interesting. As Mike was talking, I was sitting there. I was fascinated. We started talking about hemp oil, but CBD is such a buzzword. We just say it, we say it, and that's what everybody's talking about. But the hemp oil, like even Mike alluded to it earlier, is the entourage effect is a real thing. So taking a full plant extract where you're getting all of the cannabinoids from that plant, it's really going to create a synergistic effect. So the conversation that we were gravitated towards with that company is they're focused on the hemp oil.
Yeah.
They're focused on the overall well-being of not only the people who are taking their products, but the industry as a whole. when we started offering it to our gyms, there were questions whether or not you could sell a CBD. Okay, the DEA established a rule saying that they consider it a Schedule I drug.
It was a big deal about 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the good thing is the DEA can't write law. They
try
can
to.
Yeah, they try to. Right. But the law states as long as it's below 0.3% THC and it's grown in an agricultural approved facility, then it's legal hemp. So, and then the Appropriations Fund in 2016 said that no federal funds could be used to prosecute or pursue anybody selling any product from industrial hemp. So you've got hemp extract, which from what I found is one of the strongest concentrations of CBD in the entire industry. And that's the first thing that I reached out to those guys is I was really curious. While I felt... Okay, I felt these guys are doing it right from the stories, the Charlotte's Web stuff on the CNN Sanjay Gupta story that he did. Then he did Weed 1, Weed 2, which was basically a follow-up again on their products and some of their patients. I was fascinated. Like, when I reached out, I talked to, I believe her name was Leah. I said, I'm fascinated by what you guys are doing. We've got this company we distribute to CrossFit gyms. I believe this product has potential, but I can't find anything out there that says CBD on your product, and that just tells me you're probably doing it right. Can you help me confirm that? And she said, you're exactly the type of company we need to be talking to. So that allowed us, Doug asked earlier, how did I get involved with CW and become a distributor for those guys, and that's how. So in working with them, spending a week out at their facilities, we haven't even gotten into that, so we've talked about hemp oil and everything else. So with hemp is a remediation plant. So you plant it around mining sites, nuclear disasters. It's going to pull all of the stuff up out of the ground, lead, everything, pesticides, all of that.
Yeah, a lot of people are really excited about its potential for healing whatever environment that got fucked up.
Right, exactly.
Better than peanuts.
Yeah, so it pulls all that stuff out. Right, it's great for the ground, but all that stuff that it pulls out isn't great for you. Mm-hmm. So if it's not grown in a responsible manner, or if it's imported from China or something like that where you can spend $100 and get certified organic, it's not based in reality. So through the vetting of those guys and finding out more about why they focused on hemp oil and learning more about their process of growing it, of controlling it from seed to bottle, that was really an amazing learning process.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing is where the plant's being grown. My friend, he's been working in the cannabis industry his whole life, and I can light one up. He can see how it burns and tell you if they fucked up the minerals where that plant was grown. Yeah.
Wow.
Only the best.
Wow.
Bledsoe smoking that purple.
So they control the
we just burn the CBD. We don't actually smoke any weed.
So they control the entire supply chain. That way they have quality control every step along the way.
They do. It's their genetics. Now there's some, as you can imagine, it's from a legal aspect, controlling the genetics of a plant. But the Charlotte's Web plant is one clone to another, and they hand plant every single one. They use zero. There's no unnatural pesticides, fungicides, herbicides that are used in the product. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when that product is finished up, since you're grinding up the entire plant and you're condensing it down into this liquid, right? You're condensing any potential contaminants. So their product is tested over 20 times from the time it's grown to the time it goes into the bottle.
Mm-hmm. So it's very low probability they're accidentally concentrating pesticides and other things that you don't want to have in your body.
That's the trouble with any kind of concentrate.
Yeah.
It's like, people are like, I'm going to juice some vegetables, but I'm not going to buy organic. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
But even organic can have. The organic standard really doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Right.
What does a production facility of this actually look like? I mean, there's a national, they're scaling this across the country.
Right.
How do they meet this many people or meet the demand of such a growing industry and still keep such a high quality?
Well, and that's part of their story, right? So in 2013, when that Sanjay Gupta came out, they overnight,
he's a believer now.
Right.
He
Like,
is.
Overnight, it created a 15,000 person waiting list for their product.
Wow.
Good problems. How do we get one of those?
Right. So
Call up Sanjay.
Yeah. Sanja, what are you doing, bud?
yep, that's right. That's right. So thankfully,
If we could just get him to Encinitas, he would believe.
he would hang out with you guys, do a kettlebell workout on the beach.
Right?
Probably.
Brianna, where are you?
Yeah, let's
Sanjay's sold. He's like, Brown's gonna be there. I'm there.
yeah, someone send that dude a tweet. Let's get this going.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So shortly after that came out, the Department of Agriculture in Colorado started issuing licenses to where you could grow it, and they defined hemp in that. And it was that basis of the 2014 Farm Bill that allowed them to reach out to the rest of the country. So once 2016 hit, they were able to ship this product that you see right there to people who had previously been having to move to the state of Colorado. They were migrating over. Some of these families that I met, like the wife would stay home because she had a good job. The husband would take the sick child, and then they would go live in Colorado.
Are they producing it anywhere else? Any other states now?
Not producing it. They have a couple remote grow locations, from what I understand. That's just in case they have a bad crop. So, but their grow is in Ray, Colorado, and then everything is grown there. They control every aspect of it, and then it's taken to their plant. It's dried, ground, and then it's taken to their plant in Boulder, and then it's processed. And it's pretty cool because it comes in. It's in these big 1-ton blue. It's actually the color of these right here. So they put it up on this big stand, and then there's a chute underneath it, and they pull it out, drops into barrels, and then they take that to their plant. Their plant is, I believe, their voluntary CGMP that they had done came through at 98.9%. So it's an unbelievable facility. I mean, they believe.
I don't know what that means.
Well, you'll get from a CGMP, you're going to get dinged if your water temperature is off by a point. You've got a world-class operation in Boulder, Colorado that is manufacturing solely this product,
Gotcha.
and it's theirs.
How are big
We got to go
pharmaceutical
visit now.
How are big pharmaceutical companies with big money not coming in and like lobbying to change laws and get patents and kind of just swoop this up and make it where it's impossible for companies like Charlotte's Web to do what they do?
Well, who says they're not trying, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, there's a product that was just approved by the FDA. It's Elixinol, I believe. It's the first FDA drug approved for epilepsy that's CBD based, and it's a CBD isolate. And I've said it before. What attracted me so much was that they left CBD off their product, and I think that what I feel is that protects the industry. So instead of going out and saying CBD, and then potentially getting in trouble for selling an unapproved drug, they're selling a dietary supplement. They're selling a natural product that comes from industrial hemp. It just so happens their industrial hemp has one of the highest CBD contents that I have ever seen.
When they make the concentrate, I mean, you guys have like the 1X, I think it's a 2 or 3, and then there's an 8. What is the difference, and how people can kind of, when they're making their purchase decision, what does that mean to them?
Well, the advanced, so they've got the full, it's basically 3.5 times. So the full, if you take 3.5 of those full, then you have about 1 of the extra. Okay, if you take 9 of those full, you have 1 of the max.
What are we talking about?
So the
different concentrations.
Yeah.
Oh, just more concentrated in CBD.
Is there?
That's right.
Is there like a standard kind of starter dose? Like if someone wants to try it out and kind of just like judge for themselves how they feel when they take it and whatnot, like what do you recommend? Is there like a milligrams per pound of body weight, or just like start with this X amount or anything like that you think is just a good place to start where people don't have to just make the guess on their own?
Just start taking it. The Realm of Caring can be a good support structure for that also, because they can tell you whether or not you're just taking it for everyday wellness or you're taking it for a specific condition. You can reach out to the Realm of Caring, and they can connect you with somebody that they've got nurses on staff, or they can connect you with somebody that's dealt with whatever it is that you're trying to address, and they can help you get that dialed in. Now, something to keep in mind, this is one genetic strain. So if you're taking a CBD product or hemp oil product, and it's a mass produced product, or they're buying the raws from Spain or China or France or Israel,
Lithuania.
There's a lot of it coming out of there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is you're taking.
Didn't know that, did you?
I didn't.
I did learn something today.
I didn't even want to give him credit for blowing my mind.
I just sounded really smart because I agreed with him.
Nah,
I had no clue.
already knew that.
Whatever, Bledsoe. I knew. Lithuania, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Well,
They white label everything.
well,
Actually,
I know close to nothing
I
about
guess- I got-
Lithuania. I know a lot about many
You know
things.
what? The way the world works tomorrow, someone's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I was in Lithuania." And be like, "CBD, of course."
CBD.
Don't you know?
I got hemp pollen that's high in CBD and a little thing,
Yeah.
and then you can put that on top of something, smoke that.
Gotcha. What
Wow.
the fuck won't you smoke?
So there's
Got
CBD
bee
and
pollen.
pollen. There's CBD and pollen.
Yeah, you can get like the pollen from it's well, a lot of people call it keef,
Okay.
and so it's just a higher concentration. So you can grind it. If you grind up the plant, and then you have like an extra screen, and all the fine particles come through. A lot of times that's pollen, and it's a higher concentration of it.
Right on.
But I mean, they're using the whole plant in concentrate, so you're getting a little bit of that in there.
Right.
But I also have that, if you just want a super high dose of something.
Okay.
That's from Lithuania.
All right. So here's.
I
Here's-
can't wait till I have my Lithuania conversation tomorrow.
I'll break it out later, guys.
Yeah.
You can have some.
Here's the problem with Lithuania, or any oil for that matter.
Culturally, the CBD. What continent is it? Lithuania
We just
in?
lost both
Yeah, where is it?
Lithuanian listeners.
Yeah.
I don't even know where it
I
is.
don't know. Is it Eastern Bloc?
No,
Eastern
it's in
Europe.
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 It's
like
right across
northeastern
from like Sweden, Norway. If you go across the water, the Baltic Sea.
Across the water. Broad,
It's like by,
broad
by
term.
Estonia. and
Ah.
Latvia.
Estonia.
Yep.
Snatch, clean, and jerk. I'm back.
A lot of strongman competitors coming out of there. That's the only thing I really know about it.
What's
hot,
that?
Hot Eastern European chicks and strongman competitors.
I'm going there
Yeah.
next
We should
summer.
totally go
I got
take a
a
visit.
trip planned. That's why I know.
Yep.
To
I've already done my
Lithuania.
research.
Awesome.
Where can I find my fix? Is there pollen? Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
Well, to answer your question, one of the downsides with taking some of those mass-produced is they're taking all of these plants, all of these species of plant, and then they're mixing it up. No controlled environment as far as where it's grown, but you're not getting the same thing every time you take it.
You buy something this month, and then you buy something next month. You get a different product.
Right. So if you have a good reaction to it, and that's one of the reasons that Charlotte's Web hasn't changed, is they had such a powerful impact with this little girl with their strain that they haven't changed that. So their genetics, one bottle, if you respond one way to it, you're going to respond the same way to it the next time.
So we have all these different methods of application. We'll say like we have tinctures and pills, and we have these balms and lotions and whatnot. Is there any benefits or differences between these different methods of getting this stuff into your body? Like if I take this balm and rub it onto my elbows, are like elbow specific benefits to doing that, or is that just absorbing it into my blood and it just affects my whole body?
Well, so CBD, cannabinoids in general, they're a signaling agent. They can, so if you put it on your knee or something like that, they're going to connect to that endocannabinoid system, and they're able to they're one of the few molecules that can go from synapse and then go back to presynapse. So they're able to signal the body, hey, there's something going on here, pay attention to it. So it's going to help regulate that homeostasis to where whatever your body needs to do for your elbow in that circumstance.
I got an experiment idea.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yep. I'm gonna put it on my balls.
You definitely
I got
should.
it. I gotta see this light.
I feel like there's no inflammation on my balls anymore.
Why would you stop at your balls?
We'll see where it goes.
There's a much more sensitive place, so much closer.
By the way, speaking of that, is there an anti-inflammatory effect associated with CBD or hemp oil or these balms? If my elbow hurts, is there like a pain management property there?
There's a lot of exciting studies that are looking into that right now. Pain management, inflammation. So again, science is still fairly new, but there's some exciting things that are being looked into for that.
I know a lot of people that have kind of chronic pain. They THC, cannabis, that people trying to get off opiates and whatnot.
Right.
And a lot of people don't want the unwanted side effect of getting too high on high dose THC, and so they're since you don't get that effect with CBD, high dose CBD. I've heard people claiming that it helps with their pain, but I haven't seen any studies on it either.
Right. There's a couple very large Facebook groups where people go in, they ask questions about they're taking CBD and stuff like that, and there's a lot of observational research that's going on specifically for that. Again, that would be a good thing with the realm of caring, being able to reach out. They'll be able to answer those questions. If anybody has a specific question about, anything like that, they'll be able to help.
Mike mentioned prescription drugs earlier, and there's like a ton of unwanted side effects. Like every commercial you've ever seen, prescription drugs, says you're gonna have diarrhea and potential for death, and like all these other like really horrible things can happen to you. Like, what are the downsides of THC if you take a little bit, too much, so to speak? If I drank this whole bottle, like what would happen to me?
CBD, not THC.
Oh,
I'll tell you the side effects of too much THC on an airplane. I'll let you know that story. 40 milligrams later, my face was melting at 500 miles an hour.
Yeah,
it's awesome when you become the plane.
Stewardess, it's okay. I just ate too much weed.
I think
don't worry about me.
Totally fine.
Pretty sure the Earth is rotating under us. And we are static. I'm the center of the universe. Too much CBD, is what's the tipping point? Is there a point where like you take too much, and is there a LD50 where like there's a potential for death, or like where you just get really uncomfortable? Like, is there anything that that taking too much CBD would cause?
From everything that I've seen and read, it has the safety profile of vitamin C.
Okay.
So I have not heard one case of somebody overdosing from CBD from hemp oil.
People try. No, I haven't heard anything.
A gallon.
But here's the thing: is I look at this as hemp extract 60 milligrams on here. Now with cancer patients, they're giving them 900 milligrams a pop, multiple times a day, and some of it's direct application. So there's a doctor who someone had a brain tumor, and they would open up and apply it directly in there, and they watched it. I can get some pictures and we can post them up.
Yeah.
If y'all want, it's intense. Not fun to look at, but it is really interesting.
Because on a cellular level, it has to affect the cell the same way that it affects the organism.
So when somebody is dealing with, tumors and things like that, they're giving them super high doses. In fact, when I was looking at the research a few years ago, I was wanting to purchase some, and a lot of the research was being done in that 800-900 milligram range. I go, fuck, man, I can't afford to take this stuff. It's so expensive. But now they've gotten cheaper for one, and they've gotten a lot better about producing it, so you don't know what you're getting all the time. And I feel an impact on my system. I mean, with this 60 milligrams, I definitely feel it. I only need one of those. A lot of people, they want to feel something when they take it, and I think for most things that you take, it's okay if you don't feel something, but people want to feel something to say, oh, it's working. Right. So I would say, and I know someone was asking earlier, how much would you want to take, like if you're just starting? I would recommend doing like a 2 or 3 times dose so you can feel it, and then that way, you'll feel better about like, oh, this is actually working. But you don't need to hammer yourself every time you do it. I don't think anyone's going to take – they're not going to want to spend the money to take too much. Right.
Every time I've taken CBD, I've always like – I've taken pills, I've done tinctures and whatnot, and I've always felt really comfortable. I don't get like an upset stomach or anything. But is that a thing? Do people, if you take too much, or not too much, but like, do people get an upset stomach when they ingest it at all?
In some of the forums, I've read it, but I don't know what brand they're talking about. So, and I think anytime you introduce MCT into a diet, you run the risk of having diarrhia or anything else.
I think most people would experience their stomach, if it's upset at all, it actually feels better. So if I have an upset stomach, I would definitely take that.
We hadn't said this yet, but it tastes pretty good.
It does.
Yeah, chocolate.
Yeah.
You got chocolate?
I was talking about the mint.
I got mint.
What about mint
chocolate?
Come on. Teamwork here. Teamwork. Come on.
I just tasted the mint.
I tasted the mint.
There's 2 things. I said hemp extract oil. That doesn't say CBD, and then I went milk. mint chocolate flavor.
I'm
Dig
in.
it.
Done.
Whatever they say, I believe.
Yeah.
Right on, Jason. This has been phenomenal. Thanks for coming all the way out to California to hang out with us.
Absolutely.
Shrugged family, go over to drivennutrition.net/shrugged. Use the coupon code SHRUGGED. Save 20%. We all got our sweet goodie bag of this stuff. I'm incredibly excited. My wife's excited. All the people are excited to get this stuff into our daily plan. I'm a couple days into it. I've been really enjoying it. Mike has clearly been sampling a little bit ahead of his time. Imagine that. Have you had any experience with the CBD, Doug?
Yeah. I tried that stuff from Spectrum, and my buddy, what the fuck's the name of his company? It's like Urza or Irva Bioscience or something like that. He gave me some CBD pills a little while back, and doing 30 milligrams at a time was really comfortable for me in the evenings. Helps me relax.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. drivennutrition.net/shrugged. Use coupon code SHRUGGED. Save 20%. And send us a note. Tell us when you get it. Take a picture. Put it on Instagram and tag us. We'd love to hear your results.
Tag me.
We'd love to hear your results. And Driven Nutrition as well. Thanks for coming all the way out here. Where can people find you?
Well, Driven Nutrition on Instagram, on Facebook, or on the website.
Wait, can you give us like a 2-minute pitch on Driven Nutrition for the CrossFit gym owners out there that don't know what that is? Because we kind of just cruise right past that. But that's like your main business
your
is
company,
supporting CrossFit gym owners
Right.
in their retail of their gyms.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to get too salesy on here, so.
No, this is the pitch portion.
It's
Just
not-
tell
no,
us.
it's-
Pitch
Tell us.
yourself, fool.
So Samantha,
I'm about to pitch. He's about to pitch.
when we were talking about having you out here, and we were bringing Samantha out to meet everybody and be a part of this, we were like, so the Driven Nutrition. She was like, oh yeah, I did that when you were on the show last time. So you're allowed to do it.
Right on.
It changes people.
Very cool.
Be a part of it.
Right on. So Driven Nutrition, to my knowledge, is the only affiliate exclusive supplement company out there, meaning we only work and we only provide wholesale support to CrossFit gyms. So we bring, I think we've got total products, we've got almost 50 SKUs. You add in the hemp oil, you add in the apparel, everything else, then we're well over 100. I think we've got 21 or 22 flavors just of proteins alone. So we try to bring the support that a CrossFit gym's going to need, and then I used to own some retail stores, some retail supplement stores. So working with CrossFit gym owners and kind of teaching them the ins and outs and the different ways that you can approach retail, specifically talking about supplements, that's kind of my jam. That's
Do
what
you
we're
care
known
if
for.
we talk a little bit about the business of it?
Let's go for it.
Radical. I do this every time. I shut the show down, and then I get reinterested in something. Are you working with gym owners for Charlotte's Web, or is that purely just direct to consumer?
No, we go directly to gyms with that.
Awesome. So they can bring it into their store, into their retail shop, right next to their T-shirts, their proteins, whatever it is,
Right.
their Driven Nutrition protein, the whey, and that sits on the shelf.
Better
with
be
it.
the first gym to get it in town, or else you
Yeah.
are gonna be left behind.
So
do
what-
you want to be the innovative gym, or do you want to be the guys
Yeah.
who got there last?
Of the 75 gyms on your street right now,
Yeah, because
Be the
you know there's a
one that's
CrossFit
ahead of your
gym
time.
across the street.
Yeah.
what does that model look like a little bit for them, and how are you supporting their just building out that retail section?
Well,
That's a really hard thing. Usually it's like, let's just do like a drop ship T-shirt order and not think about it.
Yeah, normally a CrossFit gym is going to, they'll call a company like mine, hey, I'm thinking about switching up protein vendors or bringing in supplements, and then they'll get samples sent to them, and then they'll get hounded and pounded until they buy or die. I don't send out samples. I work, in order to be an affiliate, you got to go fill out the form on the website. Once you fill that out, I vet the gym, make sure that it is in fact a CrossFit gym, and that the person that signed up is the owner. And then we have an onboarding call. The onboarding call usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes. We find out if we're a good fit. And then once we do that, then we start the onboarding process of the emails, kind of teaching them, raising the ascension ladder of, okay, I don't know anything about selling supplements other than I want to make it a convenient factor for my members. Like Bob is taking protein, so I'm going to spend $800 with a vendor and bring in protein, even though I have to eat the other $800 sitting on the shelves.
Yeah.
And traditionally it's been, you've had to sell four or five to pay for the one that you took individually. So we support not only with the tactics on how to introduce it and how to talk to your members consistently about it, but we also provide the margins and support. So since we don't have minimums on any of our orders, somebody can get on and they can order one bottle of CW at wholesale, or they can order 20 bottles. We don't have volume discounts or anything like that. I've always felt like when I owned one store, I was always pissed off because as I started getting more successful, companies would call me up and be like, hey, now that you're doing better, we want to give you this discount. I was like, where in the hell were you when I was dead ass broke and needing to pay bills?
I needed that.
Yeah, I needed that other 10%. So we just have a flat structure that we work with. The majority of my day is spent working one-on-one with affiliate owners. One of the hacks that we found that I found that's best for that is I taught gym owners to take a picture of the product, put it in their hand, take a picture of it, and put a question mark in it, and make a post. Do you take CBD and why? So, and what happens is their community. So instead of
So smart.
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing
one
that.
question mark.
one question, but
God.
yeah.
Dude, I've been writing.
Why is it so simple?
I've been writing a page.
Right.
Yeah.
Every Instagram post. I'm working.
Takes up my
I
whole
start
day.
my day. Takes me at least
I'm
30
journaling.
minutes.
My morning routine's ruining the rest of my day. It takes all my creativity.
Well, Mike, you taught me one time
One
high
question
speed,
mark.
low drag. So
right.
That's right. So that one question helps raise the awareness, and that was really one of our goals, is not to pound information into gyms and into potential customers of the product, but instead to reach into the community and get that conversation started. And that's what really breaks down those barriers, is not CW pushing a message or me pushing a message. It's as soon as that blew up, people started posting it up. We had one gym that got 31 comments of people saying, yeah, I take it. This is the result that I get. Or no, yes, I took it, but I didn't see anything from it. So that allows that dialogue to start taking place inside the gym.
Can you teach us how to do our Instagram?
I would love
Yeah.
to.
Yes.
She's
All
right
right.
there.
That's-
She's up 400 in 3
All right.
weeks.
You guys
We're
work that
keeping
out.
tabs on her.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's really a really cool thing that you're able to get just with the affiliates. I mean, the CrossFit people, they're looking for the newest thing to keep them on this path to wellness, health, strength, all the things.
Got to beat the guy next to me. Need the most cutting edge.
Got to do it. And gym owners are struggling to create a business. Everybody gets into this like, we're just going to do fitness. Mike's got the strong coach to teach them all the interpersonal skills. The retail side of things
Right.
is a massive part of business that, I mean, when I was a gym owner, I knew nothing about selling a T-shirt, and I ate a lot of T-shirts.
Right.
And anytime we brought products in, felt like I was always just getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, or you're lucky and you break even, or you're even luckier and you paid for your own products.
Yeah, it's like, man, we didn't take a loss. I guess that's a win.
Right.
What do I
We
do?
consumed all of our profits.
Yeah.
For
Our gym.
sure.
Never get high on your own supply.
You take that into account, though. Some of these gyms have 100 members, 200 members, or more. You get to the point to where a gym can pay rent from providing supplements that their members are already buying. They're just not buying it from the gym.
Not buying it from you.
Right.
Because you're
Yeah.
not offering it. You got to make it convenient.
You
Yeah,
do. You got to have it on hand, and you got to raise awareness about it and talk about it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Make a business out of your business.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did you know that marketing is simply telling people what you're offering them?
Letting them see it.
Please do that.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a good idea.
DrivenNutrition.net/shrugged. Use the coupon code shrugged to save 20% at Jason_Rule.
On
Nail that?
Instagram.
On Instagram.
If anybody
Anywhere
cares
else?
to follow,
Do they
an
want to
old
follow?
guy-
Do they want to follow your son's decathlete career?
Actually, so here's a cool story.
Now that he's a fan of the
What's
show,
his-
we're
what's
giving
his
him a
Instagram?
shout out. Yeah.
Here's
Do
a
you
cool
know his
story.
Instagram?
Yeah.
We've got
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I think JL. Actually, you'll see it on mine. So it's the third one over.
By the time this airs, is six. He'll have 3 posts
That'll
for
be-
today.
Yeah, that's right. So he was at KU Relays, right? He's fourth leg on the 4x4, and he's a big kid. He's 6'1", about 180 pounds, big 400 and big pole vaulter. So he gets the handoff on the last leg, and that's what you'll see on my Instagram. If anybody ever cares, they'll see pictures of my kids. But last leg, and he's in fourth when he gets the baton. The kid in front of him hands off and starts walking. And Elliot turns around, takes the handoff, and he turns around and he's just nose to the back of this kid's head. He just puts his head out and just runs right over the kid.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a big dog everywhere.
That's right.
You're going to get run over.
Watch out.
That's
Yeah.
right. Clear the track.
I
That's
love
that's
that.
the rule.
Mike Bledsoe, Where can they read these long Instagram posts from you?
Dude, I've been maxing it out.
You have been.
I don't know if it's a good idea, though.
Now that the question mark showed up. Like,
Yeah, man, I've been working.
Do you want to learn from me?
Well,
Question mark.
Here's what's interesting is I'm learning how to use Instagram again because it changed. I fell asleep for a while, woke back up. This Instagram thing is this Instagram thing is a really great way to communicate with people. And I started writing posts, and then I got so excited about the posts I was making that I'm learning how to make them short enough to fit.
Yep.
So
300
I'm treating
words.
my Instagram like a blog
That
these
is
days. Yeah.
exactly just how you have to look at it.
And
now.
I'm giving excellent advice that if you follow it, your life will be better than it was yesterday.
Scientifically proven.
That's right. That's right.
We have
Studies have
research.
shown.
Studies have shown.
Mm-hmm. The research is in.
If n equals 1, I'll put myself out there and say I'm inspired as fuck.
I don't do inspiration.
No.
I don't believe in that shit.
How do you know you're not inspiring? It's not up to you.
Well, yeah, it's not.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be inspiring. I'll say
I'd
that.
like if
I
you
just
did
wanna
some work on
teach.
how you talk to
I just want
yourself.
to teach. Yeah,
Yeah.
my self-talk needs some
Self-talk
help.
needs some help.
Yeah, I'm ready to post about that.
Jenna
this
Scare
week.
got on me like 6 times yesterday about it. I was like, I thought I was positive.
Yeah, I've noticed. We need to
Yeah.
talk about this. Yeah, go over to thestrongcoach.com if you are a coach or a fitness trainer that wants to take your shit to the next level. It is personal and professional development. And if you don't know what I mean when I say that, it's because no one's ever offered that in the fitness space before. And so we're doing it now.
Doug Larson.
Dig it. Strong Coach is dope, by the way.
Yep.
Check it out. You can follow me at Douglas E. Larson on Instagram. Also have my own site, DougLarsonFitness.com. I have nutrition and movement products on there, so check that out as well. We got Barbell Shrugged every Wednesday, most Saturdays these days, and I do Technique WOD every Sunday on YouTube. If you want to learn how to lift weights, I have 150-ish episodes of Technique WOD that you can watch and you get all the knowledge.
Yep. Killed it. At Anders Varner, make sure you get into the Shrug Collective, ShrugCollective.com, at Shrug Collective on Instagram. Shrug Collective Instagram has been smashing these days. We've got people coming in,
Up the
doing
game.
takeovers. Samantha's smashing things. Just going to start building a lot of content now that we're attacking Instagram as if it's a blog and just really pushing a lot of content out of there. 6 shows a week starting January, whatever the first week of January is. Strong Coach Season 2 is coming back.
Oh, man.
On Fridays.
I got to start recording that.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
You've got 6 weeks. Reminder.
I just
put it
gotta,
in your calendar.
I just got to stay 1 week ahead.
Yeah. Frantically getting shows. ShrugCollective.com. And we'll see you guys next week.